So, RWBY. If you clicked onto this video, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that you already know what that is. Otherwise, why the heck are you watching this video? I want to give a quick heads up before I get the pitchforks and torches in the comment section. I'm not trying to shit anyone through making this video. I'm just here to share my thoughts on the show and the writing and what I personally as a writer myself would have done differently. So enough of this, let's get right into it. First of all, I think I need to make a clear distinction in the divides in the fan base. I believe that there are two sides, the pre-Monty fans and the post-Monty fans. Now again, I'm not trying to shit on anyone, I'm just trying to explain my point better. Now, if you really look at RWBY, you can see that there's a lot of things that really stand out in terms of continuity errors, a clash in narrative, and even how characters have been written. These all tend to link back to volumes 1 and 2, or as I like to call them, the pre-Monty era of the show. The pre-Monty era fans are fans that have been pretty much here since the show began. And I'm not saying these fans are better, I'm just saying that they've been around long enough to see the discrepancies in writing and more efficiently. Post-Monty fans are fans that got into the show once it skyrocketed to the limelight after Monty's passing. And these fans have had all of the seasons up until they joined the fandom to just skim through and catch up, but skimming through seasons takes away the kind of closeness and attachment that you can have to a character or aspects of the story. For instance, pre-Monty fans had the world of Beacon Academy in their lives for 2 years before the ending of Volume 3, whereas post-Monty fans could easily skim through the first 3 volumes in 3 to 4 hours. And that's a lot less time to become attached to this world, its characters, and just genuine little moments of the show. Again, I'm not trying to shit on fans who joined the fandom later, I'm just trying to make a point. How many newer fans remember the food fight scene in Volume 2? When that volume first came out, older fans had been waiting a whole year for any new content, and that was our first meal after such a long hiatus. No pun intended. So, drawing back to this episode, who remembers our dear old friend Tuxin? Why did Emerald and Mercury kill him? Why were they killing off people who were trying to leave the White Fang again? Was there really a point to all of that? And this brings me to my next point and thing I would have dealt with had I needed to write for the show. Adam Taurus. I'm not going to dance around it. I hate Adam, and not because he cut my fave's arm off, I just genuinely hate how he's written as this creepy stalker ex-boyfriend type. He could have been written so much better, and here's how. Taking the pre-established killing of ex-White Fang members and making that his motivation for going after Blake. The only reason I could think of Emerald and Mercury offing Tuxin was to keep Adam on their side. So if they used that and had Adam taking out people for trying to leave the White Fang, then that makes a whole lot more sense than just going after Blake because she dumped his whiny ass. Speaking of whiny asses, Jean Arc. Now trust me here, okay? I used to hate Jean with a passion. He reminded me too much of whiny ass boys in my younger years that thought if they persisted, I'd date them. No hunty. That isn't how it works. So anyway, skip forward to the Volume 2 ball. This is when I genuinely started liking Jean. He realises he fucked up with Pyrrha and then spends the entirety of Volume 3 trying to make it up to her and making sure she's okay when he notices that she's acting weird. Our dear boy kinda tells Pyrrha to trade her soul for the maidens without realising it, and bless his little cotton socks, he just doesn't know why his partner gets so upset. My point here now is, I think it would have made for a better story if he had died instead of Pyrrha. Now I know what you're probably thinking. How could you say that? Jean doesn't deserve that. But, from a writer's point of view, I can see why Miles and Carrie would have chose to do what they did. But here's what I would have personally done. The entirety of Pyrrha as a character revolved around Jean, and she was put there only to die and act as a motivator for Jean's character. But if Jean had died, well, fuck. What would she do now? Pyrrha is pining after Jean from the moment she's introduced to the moment she dies. But think about this. The boy she'd trained for so long decides to do just what he said he would in Volume fucking 1.
I'm tired of being the lovable idiot stuck in the tree while his friends fight for their lives. Don't you understand?
He's the one who kisses Pyrrha, and we're saying, hey, he actually does like her back. He pushes Pyrrha into the locker and she gets blasted into Vale. He scales the tower, Pyrrha calls Weiss, RWBY rushes up the tower to see Cinder kill Jean. and this also would have been a rad as fuck way to show us what Jean's semblance was. RWBY's closer to Jean than she is to Pyrrha anyway, so imagine just how much more devastated everyone would have been if it had been Jean to become the martyr instead of Pyrrha. Weiss's guilt for how she treated him, Pyrrha no longer would have been the happy girl next door, and we'd be open up to so many more character development opportunities on so many more parts of the show. RWBY would have lost both of her best friends, etc. But of course, we get to make our Pyrrha ash jokes, right? So who cares? And now that we've addressed Jean, let's talk about Pyrrha. They pit her against Penny, had her tear her apart to show... what?
One nation's attempt at a synthetic army, mercilessly torn apart by another star pupil.
Right. So basically, they ruined Pyrrha's reputation, having her, to quote Cinder, mercilessly tear Penny apart. Why? Anyone else could have been plugged into that fight and it would have had the same effect. So why ruin Pyrrha's reputation only to off her before the season's out? Now imagine Pyrrha had lived instead of Jean, and Team Prune are travelling across Stannis and Anima, and someone mentions, hey, aren't you that girl that ripped that Atlas girl apart? This also would have made for more bonding between RWBY and Pyrrha. After all, Pyrrha kinda killed RWBY's best friend. They also both lost Jean. And since we're talking about how Pyrrha was only in the show to further Jean's development, let's talk about Sun. Sun, unlike Pyrrha, has no impact on the main plot whatsoever. One of the arguments I always see about the Yang, Adam and Blake scene at the end of Volume 3, Episode 11 is that if you took Yang out of that situation and plugged anyone else in there, it wouldn't have changed. Anyone else would have done what Yang had done. But the only kind of impact Sun has on the story is when Elia stabs him in Volume 4 and Blake decides that enough's enough. But the same argument applies. Say Weiss went after Blake, or Jean, or fucking Neptune. Nothing would have changed. It had to have been a friend. All Sun does is help us, through conversations with Blake, learn more about her backstory and what she plans to do. And for Blake, Volumes 1 and 2 had Weiss make it abundantly clear Blake was to go to her teammates when something bad happens.
All I want to know is that the next time something this big comes up, you'll come to your teammates, and not someone else.
Of course.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop you fucking lying.
So why does she run away again at the end of Volume 3? What was the point in Weiss constantly reiterating for Blake to trust her teammates? Now, back on the topic of pre and post Monty fans. A lot of newer fans probably aren't familiar with Shane's letter about the events that transpired after Volumes 2 and 3. And I'll leave a link to the letter in the description if you want to call me out and say I'm lying, so by all means go ahead. In Shane's letter he says that a lot of things were changed from what Monty had wanted. One being that Raven was supposed to attack Team Juniper in a cafe in Volume 3. Why? This also would have given more downtime with Team Juniper, which was also changed. Speaking of Raven, anyone else remember that after credits scene in Volume 2 that just hasn't been touched on or addressed ever since? Yeah, and it won't ever be, which is concrete evidence within the show that the story was changed. Shane's letter was confirmed to be true by Glinda's voice actress, who has since been fired from Rooster Teeth, so I hope no one liked Glinda as a character, because she's also probably not coming back. Shane's letter was also retweeted by Monty's wife Sheena, which also just makes the point more apparent that Shane's telling the truth. I'm not picking fights with Rooster Teeth or anyone there, I'm just saying this is to let everyone know that the story we are following as of now is not Monty's. We don't and will never know how close to his vision the story is staying true to, so please don't think that this is me shitting all over Monty and his memory. That is not what I am doing at all. Another thing that they took out of the show was the doubles round fight between Sun, Neptune, Nora and Pyrrha. Now this wasn't changed, it was just a production thing that they ended up having to cut because it would have made the episode too long. But if you'd taken out the Juniper versus Bronze fight and the Sun versus Indigo fight and just have Sun versus Team Juniper, we would have gotten to see two groups of characters who we are invested in already and have little to no development for, and how they would have interacted with each other. Oh but Scrubby, then we wouldn't have learned Nora's semblance. Good, because then in Volume 4, when RWBY shoots Nora, we would have had been more shocked and concerned for her, it would have been a better semblance reveal. And plus, this team matchup could have given us an entire episode, or at least a large chunk, where the team's Sun and Indigo fight would have been, which just gives us more opportunities for more team bonding things between episodes. Now, to round this video off, here's how I want the RWBY reunion to happen with Blake. I want Weiss to be angry at Blake for running off. I want Weiss to bring up the fact that she told her multiple times to trust her teammates. I want Weiss to address the fact that Yang lost her arm to protect her. I want Weiss to address that Blake left Yang when she needed her most. And I want Weiss to not forgive Blake for what she did. And if it's all just kissing and making up, I'm going to be really heated. So that's my overall thoughts on the show's writing and how I would have handled things. If you want more videos of me talking about the show, let me know in the comments, and let me know what your thoughts and predictions are. Until next time, Scrubby out. And how... Wait, what the big fuck? What? 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 Where? Where is this? Where? What the fuck? Where is it? Where is it? Oh my god! Whoa. Oh my god. Where is this fucking... What? Where is it? It's not here. It's not... It's genuinely not here. Oh, here we go. Okay. Ah! Okay.